If you're driving your car this winter, then you need to prepare it. The tips on my list will help prevent you from getting stuck in snowstorms, getting stuck with a rusty car, or getting stuck with a broken car this winter. And as a bonus, I'll share a list of things that you should carry with you this winter. It might just save you or somebody else. The first tips on this list are all about not getting stuck in the cold or snow this winter. If you've been there, you know it sucks, so let's prevent that. The first thing is a really easy one to do, and that is making sure that your battery is fresh. Cold weather is harder on batteries, so if your battery is on its way out, once the temperature drops, it's more than likely to give up on you and leave you stranded. To prevent this from happening, there are two easy things that you could do. One of them is take a look on your battery and look at the date code on it. Automotive batteries typically last 3 to 5 years, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the condition. So if you're in that range on the upper end, you might want to consider replacing that battery. But to be 100% sure, you could go ahead and get your battery tested. Most auto parts stores will go ahead and test your battery for free by hooking it up to a machine and making sure that it's in good shape to get you through the winter. Again, I would highly recommend this so you don't get stuck with a dead battery. Number 2 on this list is to check and top off all of your car's fluids. All the fluids in your car, your oil, your coolant, your gear lube, are what keep your car going, and you need to make sure that you have the right stuff in here for winter. The first thing that I would recommend doing is checking your oil level just to make sure that you have enough oil in your engine. Also, if you're in extremely cold climates, you might need to run a slightly thinner oil for winter, but where I am, I'm fine. Check your owner's manual and see what they recommend. And then you want to go ahead and check your coolant level. To do that, pop the top on your cooling system while the car is cold and make sure you're topped off. It's also important to check that you have the right dilution of coolant to water in your system, and you could use a tester to make sure that that coolant isn't going to freeze on you in the winter. If it does freeze, you're going to be in big trouble, so make sure you have that right. And finally, you want to make sure that you're running wiper fluid that won't freeze in the winter. And speaking of windshield wiper fluid, let's talk about wiper blades. Now, during the winter, you're going to get a lot of extra road grime and chemicals and salt from the road on your windshield. It makes it harder to see, and you want to make sure that you could get that off properly so your vision isn't impaired. If you have old wiper blades on your car, there's a good chance they're worn out and not going to work properly, and instead of nicely cleaning off all of that stuff on your windshield, they'll just spread it around and sometimes make it worse. And now let's talk about tires. Now, if you run winter tires in the winter, you're going to be in good shape because they make for a safer driving experience for the reasons that I'm going to talk about shortly. Even if you're going to run all seasons during the winter, I have some tips for those too, so stick around. But first, let's talk about winter tires. Simply put, winter tires keep you safer in winter conditions because they have more grip in cold conditions, snowy conditions, and icy conditions. These tires are designed to increase traction in all of those conditions versus something like an all-season. This means you'll be able to accelerate better, you'll be able to steer better, and almost always, most importantly, you'll be able to brake better than if you had all seasons on in snowy conditions. I did some tests in the winter, and I actually found that a two-wheel drive car with winter tires outperformed a all-wheel drive car with all seasons. And finally, regardless of whether or not you're going to run snow tires, you should check your tire pressures and make sure they're set to what the factory recommends. And you also need to take a look at your tread depth. If your tire is too worn out, you're not going to get good grip in snow and ice, and it could make for a dangerous situation. The previous tips on this list are little things that are great and easy things to do to keep you and your car safe. But sometimes there's more major things that you should do before winter hits. If you have any major service coming up on your car or projects that you want to get done, I would recommend that you get these done before winter. Once winter hits, if you're a DIYer, it's much colder and much more of a pain to work on your car. Also, by doing this maintenance before the winter hits, you'll be keeping your car in tip-top shape to prevent you from getting stranded. Again, I've got a quick item guide coming up at the end of this video for in case you do get stranded, but for now, let's keep going with this list. The last tips in this video were all about keeping you and your car safe, but how about keeping yourself comfortable? Number 6 on this list is going through and testing out your heat before the temperatures drop. This means getting your car up to temperature. Go ahead and test all of your fan speeds and range your heat from cold to hot. Make sure this is working well so you could fix it before winter hits. Also, I would recommend testing out your seat heaters if you have them, test out your defrosters, and just make sure everything's working before the snow starts to fly. Number 7 is another easy one that's cheap insurance during the winter, and that is keep your gas tank as full as possible. Don't let it run super low, because if you get stuck and you could keep your engine running, it might just keep you warm enough and keep you safe and comfortable while you wait for help. Another good thing about keeping your fuel level high is that a higher fuel level prevents condensation in the tank and helps prevent freezing of fuel lines that could create other problems for you. If you haven't thought about rust protection during the winter, then you need to keep watching this video. Your car is obviously a pretty big investment and you want to keep it safe. During the winter, the chemicals are extra hard on your car, which means that rust will form much faster and it will be much more destructive than it is during other seasons. There are a few inexpensive and easy things that you could do to prevent rust and protect your investment. And one of those things is undercoating your car. Now, what an undercoating is a protective layer that will protect your car from rusting out from harsh chemicals. There are a few different kinds of undercoating that are commonly used. One of them is like a rubberized paint that prevents chemicals from sticking to your car and rusting it out. And the other one is to apply a oily film to the underside of your car, which essentially does the same thing. Personally, I've been using Blaster Surface Shield to do this, and last winter I did the whole underside of this car and it still looks very, very good. I'm gonna redo it for this winter, but this should keep it in good shape. And number 9 on this list is all about making your vehicle as easy to wash as possible and also preventing things from sticking to it. And number 9 on this list is applying a ceramic coating to your car. These are tough, durable finishes that prevent things from sticking to the paint surface of your car. This means that salt won't stick as easy, and the salt that does stick on there will wash off much easier and make it easier to protect your investment. Personally, I've liked these spray-on ceramic coatings because they're easy to apply at home and they're inexpensive, but you also could have professional ceramic coatings done. Again, this is all about keeping your car looking as good as possible, but also preventing things from sticking to it and ruining your investment. So as promised, number 10 on this list is prepping a winter preparedness and an emergency kit for your car. You could get a pre-made kit which has most of these things that I'm going to talk about, and I'll have these linked down below. Right now, I'm going to quickly go through some items, but I'll do a full video recommending what you should have in your car to keep yourself safe and prepared this winter. So the first things that you should think about is items to get yourself unstuck in case you do get stuck. This means you'll want to have a shovel ready, a tire inflator in case you get a flat tire. You'll want a tow rope and jumper cables to help you or someone else out if you get the opportunity. And I would recommend having a nice flashlight so you can see what you're doing if you get stuck at night. And then you want things to help keep yourself safe and warm in case you do get stuck. This means pack a nice warm jacket and a blanket, a hat and some gloves, and things to keep yourself nice and toasty in case you go off the road and you don't get help for a while. I would also recommend having a decent supply of food and water, again, just in case. And finally, it's a good idea to have a basic first aid kit just in case anything happens. Again, I'll go into much more detail on my kit in a future video, but for now, that's going to wrap up this section. If you want to see a video comparing the performance of all seasons to snow tires, go ahead and click that card up there. Like this video if you've enjoyed it, and leave any winter preparation tips down below that I might have missed. I hope to see you at the next one.